and I had the same experience that I had in my first with my last, but the difference was that in my first it resulted to me having a cesarean section. I was closing up. The third was almost the same circumstances, but there was difference in how the delivery ended up. My first was a cesarean section, my third was a vaginal birth. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we'll be talking about a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section. What you need to know, how you need to achieve it. I'm talking from my personal experience. Well, I'm going to start by saying what is a VBAC. A VBAC actually means having a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section. I'm not saying vaginal delivery is the best mode of delivery or cesarean section is not a good mode of delivery. That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to share my personal experiences, what I've learned, what I experienced, my personal opinion, not anybody's opinion. I'm a mom of 3. I have 3 beautiful kids. I had my first, it was a cesarean section. I had my second, and it was a vaginal delivery. That's what we call a VBAC. A VBAC means having a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section, and I'm here to talk to you about it. Can a vaginal delivery be achieved after a cesarean section? The answer is yes, depending on your circumstances. Well, my first, I had a cesarean section. The reason I had the cesarean section, not because I had any pregnancy complication during my pregnancies or I did elective CS. No. At 40 weeks, I was advised by my doctor to be induced for me to put to bed, because he advised that at that time it's better for the baby to be outside the womb rather than inside, as the baby is already full-time. So I had an induction scheduled the next day, that is after my due date, and the induction was fine. It was going well. I came to the hospital around 9 a.m. in the morning, and around 9:30 I was already induced, and labor was progressing really well, was really progressing. At a point, I going into the labor room, and the midwives were seeing my baby's head, but I wasn't contrasting. At a point, I was closing up. I was no longer dilating, because I can remember around 2, the midwife checked me last and was like, you're already 6 cm, and before 4 in the evening you should be able to put to bed. And from that 6 cm, I was having difficulties dilating, so I wasn't dilating anymore, rather I was just closing up. And I labored all through the day till around 11, because I don't know why, I just don't know why I had to go through that whole traumatizing experience. It was really a traumatizing experience for me. What really happened was, by that 11, I was already tired. I was just like, I need to do a cesarean section. I just need to have this baby, because I'm tired. I was really tired. I was signed up for the cesarean section, and I entered the theater. Before you know it, I just had my baby. Having my second pregnancy now, there was some things I did differently that I wouldn't say contributed or did not contribute to me having a vaginal delivery. Number 1, I was exercising. I was out. I was always active all the days of my pregnancies. I was going for a walk. I was walking. I wasn't like idle. First pregnancy, where pregnancy high blood pressure, I had to stop going to work all the time. The first time pregnancy, you're just thinking about your life. How is your BP? Always on the lookout for your BP changing, rising, and all that. So it really puts me in a lot of emotional turmoil, that I wasn't like doing much. I wasn't really exercising. And another thing that helped me in my second pregnancy, as I said, was staying active, going for work, doing things in the house, not being idle, not staying in one place. Secondly, waiting till labor started. With my first pregnancy, I wasn't given that opportunity to go into labor, because my doctor advised that after my due date, if I didn't fall into labor, I should come induction, which is not supposed to be, because I wasn't having any issue that would have warranted me to be induced earlier. Being for my first pregnancy, is okay if I pass my due date, because at that time I haven't given birth before, so my body is still trying to normalize, and it's okay for first pregnancies to always pass that 40 weeks and have maximum of 2 extra weeks, that is 42 weeks. If nothing happens, then you can now book the person for induction. But in my own case, it wasn't like that. My body wasn't given the opportunity to go into the normal natural labor. In my second, I had that opportunity of going into labor. I went into labor at 39 weeks and 4 days in my second pregnancy, and the labor was intense and it was very fast. Started having contraction around 2 a.m. in the morning. Went to the hospital around 6, and before 9 I had already given birth, because I let my body do naturally what it's supposed to be. So for you to achieve a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section, provided there is no issue, there is no pregnancy complications, or there is no contrary advice from your midwives or from your doctor to have active C-section, or there is a problem for you to be induced, it's okay to wait for your body to do what is naturally supposed to do, like going into labor by itself. And when it does that, it's going to help. I'm not saying induction doesn't work, because some people, induction works for them. Induction is a 50-50 chance. If it doesn't work for you, the next alternative is for you to go for a cesarean section. But if you let your body do what it's supposed to do naturally, labor is going to be fast and it's going to be very, very quick. So that was what I also did. Then secondly, what I did to have a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section was I had to wait for 2 years before taking in. I didn't want a situation where the scar won't have healed properly, so I waited for 2 years before even conceiving, so it will be easier for me to be able to go through the vaginal delivery route if I want. And that really helps me, because when I was pregnant for my second and my scar site was reviewed, it was shown that I wasn't feeling any pain anymore. I wasn't feeling any kind of itch there, because at the point I was itching at that site. But then when I had to wait for like 2 years before even conceiving, the site was already healed, everything was looking nice and clean, and it really helped me. The fourth thing that I did differently that helped me was my whole body. Like medically, I wasn't having any issues of hypertension, pre-eclampsia. There was nothing wrong with me. I was physically fit during my pregnancy. Blood pressure was always very normal. Even when I had like issues in my mind, when I was worrying so much, my blood pressure remained constant. There was no rising, there was no decreasing. It was just on a normal range. And I think that also helped me. Then also, what also helps me is preparing your body. As I said before, you need to be active, you need to take walk, you need to do what you have to do, you need to go about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying a cesarean section is a bad way of delivery. I've experienced both. I know what it feels, I know what you should expect in the two, but I'm just trying to awareness that it's still possible to have a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section. I don't know about whether you've had it, if you've had it twice, whether you can have it again the third one. I don't know, because that was not my experience. My experience was I had a cesarean section first, and I had a vaginal delivery. Even for my third child, it was also a vaginal delivery. Then the same thing that I did, I was always active and I let myself fall into labor. And also I walked, I exercised my pelvic, I did a lot of walking, I did a lot of cooking, I did a lot of going. I was very active during my pregnancy days, and I just fell into labor, and labor was very quick. It was very, very quick than my second one. I'm going to do a separate video on my third delivery. It was really a very beautiful experience. I didn't have to labor for long. I don't know if it has to do with the body. As you're having more children, you don't need to go through labor, like a longer labor or something. I don't know, but from my own experience, my labor was very short, was very quick, and I had the same experience that I had in my first with my last. But the difference was that in my first, it resulted to me having a cesarean section, coupled with the fact that I labored all through the day. I was closing up. The third was almost the same circumstances, but there was difference in how the delivery ended up. My first was a cesarean section, my third was a vaginal birth. I'm just trying to create awareness. I'm not trying to backlash anybody. I'm not trying to make you feel like less of yourself. Women are superheroes. In fact, a cesarean section is the most painful part of it, like very painful. I know what I went through at that time. Is it the recovery process? Is it the healing? Is it the emotional stress? Is it the way you have to take things easy? Is it the way you just have to be very careful about everything you do? It wasn't an easy way, but I'm just trying to tell someone out there that if you want to experience the both, it's a beautiful thing to experience the both. It's also a beautiful thing if you don't experience the both. So I'm trying to give that awareness that having a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section is 100% possible. If you don't have any issues, if your midwife does not advise against it, if you don't have any pregnancy complications or anything that will result to an advice of having elective CS or going through induction or whatever it is, it's just for me to create this awareness. I'm going to do a separate video of my third delivery, what actually happened, because it was really a lot. Like, was just in the space of few minutes I gave birth. Let me know if there's something you did differently, if you had a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section, what you did differently, what you learned from your experience, what you advise every other person to do. Just put it in the comment section, and you can share your experiences, you can share your opinion. I will highly appreciate it for other people to see and learn, especially mothers, new mothers, because if you're a new mother, you can just very anxious on these things, like what you should do, how you should go about it. So I'm just trying to create the awareness for women to know that it is actually possible to have a vaginal delivery after a cesarean section. Thank you so much for watching, and if you've watched to this point, that means you like my video. Kindly subscribe, click your notification button so that anytime I post anything, you'll be the first to know. Thank you so much for your support, for your likes, for your comments, for your shares, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you, my returning subscribers, my new subscribers, my viewers, every person. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.